Here we go. Mod 12 group test. All right. State whether each given sequence is arithmetic or geometric. Notice there's not the option of neither. It's either arithmetic or geometric. Now, I know that sometimes people, well, the people that are very particular say, does it matter if I spell it wrong? Let me show you an easy way to answer it. Just circle the correct word.
Oh.
Okay? I know there's an answer line there. I would rather you just circle the word. Makes it easier. That's what I did on my answer keys. I just circled the word.
How is it a problem if the word is literally right there?
You never know. You never know. I ask myself that all the time. Okay, so how do I identify if it's arithmetic? Well, I have to see if it's adding the same thing each time, right? Now, sometimes that's easy to tell. Sometimes it's not. Here, to me, this is pretty easy to tell that this one, they're subtracting 4, right? And then they are obviously not subtracting 4. Do you get that? So that tells me it's not arithmetic, which, using my logic, would mean it's geometric because neither isn't an option, right? But going back with geometric, how can I tell it's geometric? What kind of proof do I need to show?
Just dividing the second term by the first term.
I need to take the second term, put it over the first term. I need to take the third term, put it over the first, and the fourth term over the third term. I do want to see this because this is your proof that this is correct. Okay? So, 1/5, what does that reduce to? 1 divided by 5?
0.2.
0.2. What is 0.2 over 1?
0.2.
And 0.04 divided by 0.2, what do you think?
0.2.
0.2. So, since they all reduce to the same thing, that is my proof that it is geometric, right? It's like I'm a lawyer and I'm trying to plead my case. That's my evidence. Okay? Now, recursive rule for geometric. Well, technically for geometric and arithmetic, it's f of n equals f of n minus 1. Same thing down here. It's going to be f of n minus 1. No matter what, it's f of n minus 1. The difference is, if it's geometric, it's going to be times your r value, whereas if it's arithmetic, which we'll see this one is, it's going to be plus your d value. The formula is the exact same. It's just the geometric one you're multiplying by r, and the arithmetic one you are adding your d value, or technically subtracting if your d value is negative. Does that make sense? Hopefully that's an easy way to remember it. Now, my recursive rule is not done until I put a comma and something else. I have to provide f of 1 in order to have my recursive rule. Why is that? Because with any rule that you give me, I should be able to, without this, create the rule or create the sequence just by looking at what you have written here. And if you don't give me a starting point, how am I supposed to find any term? Can I even find the first term from here? The first term would equal to the f of 1 minus 1. That would be f of 0, which doesn't really exist for us. Could I find the second term? F of 2 would be f of 2 minus 1. That would be f of 1. I don't know the first term to be able to plug it in, do I? So I have to give a starting point. Because as soon as you give me f of 1, I can now find f of 2 because I take f of 1 and multiply it by 0.2. And then I can find f of 3, f of 4, f of 5, and so on. So your recursive rule must have all of that in order to be accurate. Okay? Does that make sense?
Can you read the answer real quick? Like just exactly what you're supposed to have? The answer. Like read the answer.
f of n equals f of n minus 1 times 0.2, comma, f of 1 equals 5. So whatever I have on this next one, it's going to be f of n minus 1 plus or minus, depending on if my d value is a positive or a negative. And then I'm going to have to put a comma, and f of 1 equals what? 38 in that case. Now, number 2, is it arithmetic or geometric? Arithmetic. What are they adding each time?
7.
Plus 7, plus 7. So it's going to be f of n minus 1 plus 7 is my rule, including the f of 1 equals 38. I'm going to circle arithmetic because that's what that one is. Now, what if you can't see clearly what they're adding? Like, what if the numbers are fractions or decimals, and it's not quite as easy to see, oh, they're adding this each time?
You take the second term and subtract it. Or
You would take the second term and you would subtract the first term. That's how you get your 7. Take the third term and subtract the second term. That's how you get your 7. Because sometimes that d value, if that d value is a fraction, it's not going to be as easy to see. If that d value is a decimal, it might not be easy to see. Usually arithmetic is easier to see, but just in case you do that backwards thing where it's the second minus the first, just like you did up here with division, you're just going to subtract it.
So if we don't show that on the test, will we get returned?
This?
Yeah.
Show it. Either show this or show this for me.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Okay? All right. Any questions about the recursive rules? They're basically the same rule. You just need to remember which ones multiply, which ones add. And then what do you always have to have with your recursive rule?
Comma and then
The comma and then the first term. Capiche?
yes.
Okay. I think that's the only recursive rule that I asked for, isn't it? Okay. Find the explicit formula and the specified term. Now you notice that I don't tell you whether it's arithmetic or geometric again. So you got to figure it out. This first one, does it look like they are adding or subtracting the same thing each time? What are they doing? How do you get from negative 21 to negative 15?
You add 6.
Add 6. From negative 15 to negative 9? Add 6. Add 6. So my f of n formula is equal to what? F of 1 plus d times n minus 1. Now some people wrote that on that line. Come on, people. F of n equals, what is f of 1 here? Negative 21 plus 6 times n minus 1. There are some people that wrote this on the line. I got to mark you down for that. That's not a simplified equation.
Oh, right.
Negative 21 plus 6n minus 6, right, when you distribute. Negative 21 and negative 6 gives you what?
Negative 27.
Plus 6n. That's the equation I'm looking for.
Does it matter if like the 6 ends in front of the 27?
No, you could put 6n minus 27. That's perfectly accurate also. I will mark down for this, however. Make sense?
Yeah.
Now, how do I find f of 40?
You plug in 40 for n.
I go here, negative 27 plus 6 times 40, and I go to my calculator. Negative 27 plus 6 times 40, and I get 213. What does that mean? The 40th number on that list is 213. Questions there?
No.
That one was what?
Arithmetic.
Arithmetic. What's this next one? Geometric. How do I know?
Okay. Divide the second number by the first.
You divide the second number by the first number, and you get, what, 5? And then the third number, can't write and talk at the same time today, divided by the second number, and that also gets you 5, and so on and so forth. You get 5. So what's your R value? 5. What is the rule for a geometric equation? F of n equals f of 1 times, right, r to the n minus 1. Again, just like the recursive ones, how one was multiply, one was divide, these two formulas are very similar also. It's the first term. you're adding then, or you're multiplying, depending on if it's arithmetic or geometric. And then d times n minus 1, because you cannot have an exponent in an arithmetic formula. And this one you have to have an exponent, so it's r to the n minus 1. So they're very similar. I think it might be helpful if you think about how they're similar as far as making sure that you know those. So let's see. F of n is equal to the first term, which is negative 3. Please, whenever possible, put your r value in parentheses. It just makes it easier. This one, it actually drives me nuts that you have the multiply sign and the decimal, because there's too many dots.
For sure.
What's my r value here?
No.
To the n minus 1. That's my formula. Do I need to include f of 1 here, by the way? Why not? It's not recursive.
Wait, huh?
When it's explicit, I do not need to include f of 1, only when it's recursive. So how do I find f of 8? I plug 8 right into here. So negative 3 times 5 to the 8 minus 1. That would be negative 3 times 5 to the 7th, right? Yeah?
Yes.
And you may get a big number. Negative 2, 3, 4, 3, 7, 5. Why might you get a big number?
Geometric.
Geometric. The numbers get really big really fast. Or really small really fast.
So wait, it could be division, right?
Huh?
It could be division.
If it's division, it's technically still multiplication by the reciprocal. All right, use the sum formula. All right, first thing you got to be able to do is you need to be able to look here, here, and here and identify what's geometric and what's arithmetic. What is number 5?
Arithmetic.
Arithmetic, because it looks like mx plus b, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Number 6?
Arithmetic.
Geometric. It's got multiplication.
Oh.
And this one? Arithmetic. Arithmetic is going to have your plus and minus. Geometric is going to have your multiply. So arithmetic, and you want to remember the formula? You take the number of terms, multiply it by the first term, plus the last term, over 2. You're finding the average of the first and last term. So, how many terms are there in this one? If it goes from 1 to 30, how many terms are there?
30.
30.
31.
And then what is the first term, or how do I find the first term?
You look right there.
I plug 1 into there. 7 times 1 is 7, minus 3 is,
4.
that's the first term of the sequence. How do I find the last term?
Plug in 30.
Plug in 30. 7 times 30 is
210.
210 minus 3,
227.
or 207. And then I'm going to divide by 2. Now I just go to my calculator, right? 30 times, what's 4 plus 207? 211 divided by 2. See what I've got plugged in there? 3165. A lot of people wanted to get the first term. They wanted it to just be either 7 or negative 3. Because in geometric, yes, you can get the first term right from there. Arithmetic, you can't. You can get the d value from there. My d value is 7, but you can't get the first term from there. Okay? Now, since this one is also geometric, let's do this one. What is my n value here?
4.
No, it's not 4. I know it says n equals 4, but what is my n value that I'm going to plug in here? How many terms am I looking at?
Oh, 10.
No.
No, 7.
How many terms am I skipping? If it's having me start at term 4, I'm skipping the first, the second, and the third,
So you have 7.
right?
7.
So I'm only adding 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, that's 7 terms. So I have to use 7 as my number right there.
So 6, 7, 7.
Okay? And I'm going to have divided by 2. Now, when I'm talking about the first term, I'm not actually talking about the first term in the sequence. I'm talking about the first term of the part of the sequence they're wanting me to add. Which means I need to plug in 4. Just like I plugged in 1 to get the first term up here, I plug in this to get the first term here. 6 times 4 is 24, minus 12 is That's the first number. That's actually the fourth term, but it's the first term of the set of 6 terms that I'm or 7 terms that I'm adding. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. How do I find the last term? Plug in the top number. 6 times 10 is
60.
minus 12.
48.
So I have 7 times 12 plus 48 over 2. That's 7 times, what is 12 plus 48?
60.
60.
60 divided by 2, that's 7 times 30, isn't it? 210 is my result right there. Do I want to see work?
Yes.
Of course. Yes.
Okay, wait, can you explain the 7 again?
Yes. Let me get a different piece of paper and see if this is helpful to you at all. Okay. So, in this sequence, if I were to plug in 1, 6 times 1 is 6, minus 12 is negative 6. That's the first term of the sequence, yes? If I were to plug in 2, 6 times 2 is 12, minus 12 is 0. If I were to plug in 3, 6 times 3 is 18, minus 12 is 6. They're adding 6 each time, right? 12, 18, 24, and they've got 10 terms technically. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's the sequence we're looking at, right? Now it's saying, because it's saying start at 4, it's saying instead of adding the whole group, skip the first 3 and start at the 4th term and add those together. How many numbers is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's where your 7 comes from. And that's also where you get your first term is 12. Because 12 isn't the first term of the sequence, but it's the first term of the set of problems you're adding. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think sometimes just seeing it written out makes a little more sense. Okay, we good there? All right, let's do the geometric one. How do I do the geometric one? You got to know the sum formula. So I need the first term times 1 minus r to the n over 1 minus r. Okay? Now, do I need to plug in 1 in order to find the first term?
Where do you get
That's the formula.
That's
Geometric, we like it because f of 1 is clearly right there, and r is clearly right there. So I just need to plug that stuff in. So f of 1 is 3, and then 1 minus, careful with your parentheses, negative 2 to the what? What is my n value here?
1.
I'm going from 1 to 10. That means I have 10 terms, right? Over 1 minus negative 2. You with me so far?
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you see how I put parentheses there? I have 3. I have parentheses around this 1 minus r to the n, but r also is in parentheses. Why? Because it's negative. Does that mean that this is going to become a positive?
Yeah.
No.
You have to do it separate.
You have to do the exponent first, because making this positive is technically multiplication, and PEMDAS doesn't work that way. So just make sure you have parentheses like that, and you can go 3 parentheses, 1 minus parentheses, negative 2 to the 10th, and then close that final parentheses. So negative 2 is in parentheses, and then that's in parentheses. That's what I get on the top. Does that make sense? Over 1 minus a negative 2. What is 1 minus a negative 2? 3. I can put it in like that if I want to. I need to put parentheses right there so it'll calculate it as 3. And I get negative 1023. I got a lot of people that had negative 1025. Close. All right. Questions about those guys? Because this is where a lot of people lost a lot of points, was on this front page.
I think I left my phone in the back.
Go ahead. So like numbers 3 through 11, a lot of people missed. All right, find the next 3 terms in the sequence. The rule may be explicit or recursive. So question, is number 8 explicit or recursive?
Recursive.
Recursive, how do you know?
Because of the
Because
F
it's-
It has f of n minus 1. Is number 9 recursive or explicit? Recursive because of the f of n minus 1. Is this one recursive or explicit?
Explicit.
Explicit. Is it arithmetic or geometric?
Arithmetic.
Neither. Has an exponent. It can't be arithmetic. Neither. This one's also neither. This one is geometric, but these two are both neither, which is okay because they give me the formula, they give me the first term. So let's see, I'm going to plug in 40 into the first term. So if I'm trying to find the second term, right, I'm going to say that n is 2 because I'm trying to find the second term, plus f of 2 minus 1 over 2. What is 2 minus 1? So they're really asking me right here for f of 1. Do I know what f of 1 is?
Yeah.
What is it?
40.
So it's 2 plus 40 divided by 2. What is 2 plus 40?
42.
Divided by 2 is?
21.
So in other words, this formula is saying take the n value, add the previous term, and divide by 2. So how am I going to find f of 3?
You add.
I would take 3, because that's what n is, plus f of 3 minus 1. That means take the second term, f of 2. What is f of 2?
21.
And divide by 2. What is 3 plus 21?
24.
Divided by 2 is?
Wow.
And do it one more time. The fourth term means take 4 plus the term before. The term before is 12. And divide by 2. What is 4 plus 12?
16.
Divided by 2.
8.
There's my next 3 terms.
Wait, how do we find what n is?
N is just the term number.
Oh.
So if you're finding the third term, n is 3.
Okay.
Wait, what?
So for the second term, n was 2. For the third term, n was 3. For the fourth term, n was 4.
And for the third term, you got 16 or 12?
Yes.
Or what, 12?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, number 9.
Plug in the previous one.
Number 9 was the easiest of the 3. It says to find any term, you take the term before it and multiply it by negative 1/4. So in other words, to find f of 2, I take this, which means the term before it. What's the term before f of 2?
1.
F of 1, which is negative 12, right? Because that's what they tell me. And multiply it by negative 1/4. What is negative 12 times negative 1/4?
4. 3.
Positive
3.
3.
Yeah.
So then to find f of 3, I take the term before it, which the term before term 3 is 3, times negative 1/4. What is 3 times negative 1/4?
Negative 3/4.
6. Oh, wait,
Negative 3/4.
what? 3 times oh. Makes sense.
And then to find the fourth term, I take the term before it, which is negative 3/4, and I multiply it by negative 1/4. Well, negative times a negative is positive. 3 times 1 is 3. 4 times 4 is
1.
16.
Oh. Okay. I didn't put that.
So?
Just plugging in
Wait, so
2,
how come
3,
you're not
4.
just plugging in, like, if you're trying to find, like, f of 3, how come you're not just plugging in 3 for n? How come you, like, how did you get the first, like, y?
I don't know that I understand your question.
Like-
This says take the term before it. They give me the first term. So I can start at the second term, and I take the term before it and multiply it by negative 1/4. That means I take the first term and multiply it by negative 1/4.
So that gives 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then how come you don't plug in 3 for f of, n? Do you?
You plug it in for the term before when you're finding the fourth term.
Oh,
Or the third term, I guess. Yeah, the third term. All right, number 10 should be the easiest one. F of 1 is just 2 times 1 minus 3 squared plus 3. What is 2 times 1?
2.
2.
2 minus 3 is
Negative 1.
negative 1 squared is
2.
1
I mean 1.
plus 3 is
4.
4. To find f of 2, I just plug in 2. 2 times 2 minus 3 squared plus 3. What is 2 times 2?
4.
Minus 3 is
1.
1. Squared is
1.
plus 3 is.
4.
Now, it messed a lot of people up that those were the same number. It works out. F of 3 then would be 2 times 3 minus 3 squared plus 3. So what is 2 times 3?
6.
6 minus 3 is
3.
3 squared is
9.
plus 3 is.
12. Oh, I got that one right.
And then number 11 simply asks you to take those three numbers that you got in number 10 and add them together. 4 plus 4 is 8 plus 12 is 20. Questions there? Any questions over the front side? Because that's where most people lost the bulk of their points.
Wait, what was the answer for number 4? Like, the f of n.
Negative 3 times 5 to the n minus 1.
Okay.
All right, backside. We have arithmetic and arithmetic. Then we have geometric and we have geometric. So let's focus on arithmetic. Remember, f of n is equal to the first term plus your d value times n minus 1. Yes? That's arithmetic. So, if I need to find f of n here, they give me d, and they give me this right here. Yes?
Yeah.
So f of n is equal to f of 1. I don't know what that is, but I know it's going to be plus 12 times n minus 1. Right? How do I use this term to help me figure this out? What do I plug in for f of n?
63.
63 is equal to the first term plus 12 times, what's n?
4.
4 minus 1. So I'm going to come up here so I have some more room. 63 is equal to the first term plus, what is 12 times 4 minus 1? Isn't that 12 times 3?
36.
So if I subtract 36, I get f of 1 equals what?
27.
Let me make sure. 63 minus 36 is 27. So now I have d and I have f of 1. So f of n is equal to 27 plus 12 times n minus 1. I cannot leave my answer like that. 27 plus 12n minus 12. You must distribute. 27 minus 12 is 15 plus 12n. That's what I write right here. Questions on that one? Yes? No?
Maybe so.
Just leave it up for a little longer.
Well, you distribute 12 from n minus 1, so it turns 12n minus 12. Yes.
Okay. All right, this time I'm not given my d value. So this is the one where you literally set up your points. Remember this?
Mm-hmm.
And how do you find your d value?
You find both, you put the...
You use the slope formula. Negative 77 minus negative 14 over 9 minus 2. Remember y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 from
Wait,
back in the day? So I have negative 77 plus 14, right? Negative 77 plus 14 is negative 63 divided by 7 is negative 9.
Wow.
So guess what? D is negative 9. At this point, I do the exact same thing I did right here. I pick one of these two things to plug in. Usually it's easiest if you plug in the one that has smaller numbers. Which one has smaller numbers? F of 2, right? So negative 14 is equal to f of 1 minus 9 times 2 minus 1. Nine times 2 minus 1 is 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
Add 9. And what does f of 1 equal? Negative 5.
Mm-hmm.
So then I plug it all in. I plug in f of 1 and d. So f of n is equal to negative 5 minus 9 times n minus 1. That's negative 5 minus 9n plus 9, right? Negative 5 plus 9 is 4. So my equation is 4 minus 9n.
Wait. Before you simplified it, the equation was negative 5 plus 9n what?
Negative 5 minus 9
minus.
times n minus 1.
Oh.
So again, once I got D, I started off basically where I did here in step 1. I picked one of my terms, I plugged in this for f of n, and I plugged in 2 for n, and then just solved to get f of 1. Okay? Questions there? Yes.
So after you get the 9,
Yes?
where did you get 2 minus 1?
Where did I get what?
The 2 minus 1.
From my point right here. I put 14 in, which means I have to put 2 for n. So you pick one of your points, just like I did up here.
Oh, got it.
Okay?
Okay, great. So,
Wait, so couldn't we just have like, being that they gave us the second term, couldn't we have subtracted 9 from negative 9 from?
Technically, yes, but I wanted to show you how it was if they give you the 5th term or the 8th term or whatever. They could give you the 30th term. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. Geometric. That's f of n is equal to f of 1 times r to the n minus 1, correct? I don't have to do this simplifying step with geometric. So they give me r, so I know my equation at this point is f of n equals f of 1 times negative 2 to the n minus 1. You follow so far?
Mm-hmm.
What do I do from here? Plug in this point. So what goes in for f of n?
Negative 128.
Negative 128 is equal to the first term times negative 2 to the what? 6 minus 1.
Oh, yeah. Just 5.
So negative 128 is equal to f of 1 times negative 2 to the 5th. What is negative 2 to the 5th? Negative 2 to the 5th power is negative 32. Notice you have the negative 2 in parentheses. So coming up here, negative 128 is equal to f of 1 times negative 32. If I divide both sides by negative 32, I get f of 1 is equal to what? Negative 128 divided by 32 is positive 4. I have f of 1. I have r. So my equation is 4 parentheses negative 2 to the n minus 1.
That's it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, number 15. 2 terms in a geometric sequence. I need to plug both of these terms in. Now, I'm going to do this strategically because I want the one that's going to end up with the higher exponent on top. So which one should I plug in first?
320.
The one that's going to give me a higher exponent needs to be on top. So I'm going to think ahead and I'm going to plug in this one first because that's going to give me a higher exponent when I'm plugging it in.
Which one?
10 equals the first term times my r value to the 8 minus 1, which becomes 10 equals f of 1 times r to the 7th. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
This one would be 320 equals f of 1 times r to the 3 minus 1, which gives me 320 equals f of 1 times r to the 2nd. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to divide. 10 over 320 becomes 1 over 32.
Mm-hmm.
Yes? F of 1 cancels. And I have r to the 5th. So I need to take the 5th root here. Well, what's the 5th root of 1? 1. What's the 5th root of 32?
2.
So my r value is 1/2. So my equation is going to be f of n equals something times 1/2 to the n minus 1. So far, so good?
Mm-hmm.
How do I find f of 1?
You put
I go back and I plug my new R value into one of those two equations. It's probably going to be easiest to do the one with the smaller exponents. So 320 equals f of 1 times 1/2 squared. What is 1/2 squared?
1/4.
So f of 1 times 1/4 is equal to 320. How do I get rid of the 1/4? Multiply by the reciprocal, which is 4. So f of 1 is equal to whatever 320 times 4 is, which ends up being 1280. Plug your 1280 in, and there's your formula. So? Any questions on that one? All right, last one. Lee works in sales and his pay is based on how much he manages to sell that week. In his first week on the job, he earned $150. So that's term 1 of my sequence. Each week after that, his paycheck went up by $30 because he got better at selling. So in week 2, how much did he make? $180. In week 3 and week 4? That's easy, isn't it? Is this arithmetic or geometric? Arithmetic. So I need to write an explicit rule. That means I'm using this formula, right? Arithmetic. So f of n is going to equal the first term. What is the first term? Plus, what's my d value? Times n minus 1, and we have to simplify. Plus 30n minus 30. That's going to be 120 plus 30n. That's what I need to see here. How much will his paycheck be for week 10? What do I do? Plug in 10. 120 plus 30 times 10. 120 plus 30 times 10. $420. Dollar sign goes in the front, reminder. I did grade 1 that had the dollar sign in the back. What is the total of all the money? So what am I asking for there? The sum. So in other words, the number of terms, which would be 10, times the first, which I know is 150, plus the last, which I just found out, right? 420 divided by 2. First term, and I just found out the last term in week 10. So 10 times, what is 150 plus 420? 425, 2570 divided by 2. I get 2850. And then represent this series using sigma notation. Now, we've provided the sigma for you. I don't know why, but some people drew their own sigma over here. I gave you the sigma, so you don't need to draw it. So I'm just going to write n equals 1 and 10 at the top. Yeah? Mm-hmm. And what do I write over here? 120 plus 30n. Everything I've already found out. Okay? Can you do this?
No.
Took the number of terms 10, added the first term and the last term, which was 420, divide by 2. That gets you 2850. All right, happy studying.